Good morning, everyone. Wow, this place is awesome. This is our first time. We were at Morning Garden once because Timothy was at the workshop there this last summer. But this is our first time. So thank you, Reverend Busing, Reverend Hempovitz, and what do we call Pastor Ono? She's committed. Aunt Catherine, thank you. Yeah, we're really happy to be here. My Italian ancestors are proud about the ceiling, apparently imported from Italy. Amazing band and fantastic drummer. I noticed every detail. So let's give it up for the band again. Honestly, we could just end it right there. We heard beautiful testimony from the new leadership, up-and-coming leadership team of America. So there's many ways to give a message. I could prepare videos and PowerPoints and bring up notes, but this is going to be what I would refer to as not a wing it, but there's just something in my heart that I want to share, and I'm not sure how it's going to come out yet. But I think it will be real. So the title of the message is True Mother's Love. True Mother's Love. And it's true, just recently I was appointed to a bunch of new positions, and what I'm going to share with you it already preceded that. So this isn't a result of because I have some new job or new position. Although I must say, as you know, whenever you're in a leadership role, your sensitivity becomes heightened and you notice more things. And so definitely, even the last 2 weeks have been a continuation of really my whole life from my personal viewpoint. But also this last year, 2017, was a really significant year for our family. If you want to know more details about that, you can watch my videos on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Demian Dunkley. And I kind of share a lot there, and I'll share more there. Luke Higuchi's here. I love Luke. He's here making video. Look at this guy. He's taking video and photo at the same time. You know, so actually media is my passion. I love making videos. 5 years ago, I asked headquarters, if you want to hire me, can you just hire me to make videos? We'll live in Las Vegas and make videos, because I know the impact that they can have. And then that ended up, you know, being invited to visit headquarters and getting roped into all these other jobs that I never planned or expected, honestly. But if you were to ask me what my personal life mission would be, I would say, I want to really popularize true parents in my lifetime. So media is a really good way to do that. So that's where my passion is, that's where I make videos. But what I want to speak about today is True Mother's Love and my own personal awakening to understanding more about God's love, true parents' love, and specifically True Mother's love. And so I know a lot of you guys just finished some DP lectures. I want to start at the beginning, and I'm going to share just some reflections that occurred to me. Many of you maybe know all of this already or figured it out for yourself, but it's different, right, when you figure it out for yourself. And so last year, after I was able to invite my father to Madison Square Garden with his fiancée, he left the church 40 years ago. And so 40 years ago, he left, and 40 years to the month, basically, he was able to see True Mother at Madison Square Garden. And it was 3 generations. He was with my family in the seats, and I was on the stage, and Timothy was in the dance team with the Hyojang workshop. And I also was able to visit him at his wedding with my entire family in Europe in September, October, where we were able to give him the blessing. Okay, so this was a significant shift for our family. And from that time, actually, internally, I started to have kind of a different relationship with God and a different relationship with true parents. I wasn't doubting God or doubting true parents or even struggling about true parents. I did sometimes wonder why True Mother, at all of the leadership meetings, she would always make us listen to lectures about explaining the only begotten daughter. Yeah. I would often wonder, we go to these leadership meetings in Korea, it's 500-600 leaders from all over the world, and we would listen to these lectures every time. Some of you remember. So I would wonder, why, only begotten daughter, okay, we get it. But I didn't really get it, actually. I didn't struggle with it, although I know some people do, or trying to figure out what that means. But I felt that through my own reflection, I could understand more deeply for myself. So you think about the Garden of Eden, okay? So we're starting real quick at the beginning. Think about the Garden of Eden, and we know the story, right? So how old were Adam and Eve, do you think, when they fell?
Like Korean age or Western?
Right? Somehow in their teenage years, right? We know top of the growth stage, so something around there, right? And when Father asked members many times, who is responsible for the fall? Do you remember what the answer is? Who's responsible for the fall? Who says Adam? Raise your hand if you say Adam. Raise your hand if you say Lucifer. Raise your hand if you say Eve. Or God. Just checking. Okay. So most people didn't raise their hand. So please educate me later if there's somebody else in the garden that was responsible. Maybe I don't know. But my understanding is there was a bunch of guys and one girl. And, the male angel figures and the three archangels also, actually, not just Lucifer, right? And then God, predominantly seen or viewed as a masculine force. And I understand that because during the course of creation, the entire spirit world was organized vertically, right? And so the angels didn't have female counterparts, right? But the earthly realm did. We had all things in pairs in creation, and so there were mothers and there were husbands of sorts. But in terms of, only symbol, but in terms of the image of God, there had never been in spiritual or physical form, let alone both, a full representation of God's love. So the creation was probably created with predominantly this sort of masculine, whoosh, let's do it, this kind of initiative, impulse. And the angelic world was organized like this. Can you throw me the water, honey? Yeah, thanks, sweetheart. I just wanted to give you a chance to stand up. I'm joking. So I was thinking about this, and what about Lucifer? What was his responsibility? To raise up Adam and Eve, right? So, but what did he feel? Huh? Jealous, right? Why? He wanted Eve. He was jealous because he wanted Eve. Why was he jealous? Come on, kids from... Why? Why was he jealous? Because he felt God loved Adam and Eve more than he. Okay. Okay. Is that true? Did God love Adam and Eve more than him? So who were Adam and Eve to God? Okay. And what was God's hope for Adam and Eve?
To be his manifestation.
Yeah. To be God's complete, substantial manifestation. And would be the only physical, spiritual, harmonized, heaven and earth, male and female. In that sense, even greater than God is able, right? Because God depends on them for that substance, substantial representation. So in some ways, probably even God didn't quite know how it would be. Like there was an anticipation in God's heart to experience the fruit of God's own creation and God's own self really manifest in object form to him, right? So great, we get that. Adam and Eve were going to be, become what? They were going to become married and then true parents, right? Okay, so then what kind of love would creation have felt? God's love. Would it be the same as, because, they already feel God's love, right? They were created by God. So what's the difference?
God would dwell within.
Okay, so just, help me out here. What occurred to me is that Lucifer wasn't receiving any less love from God. We know that. But he felt, compared to Adam and Eve, he was receiving less. What he didn't know is that when Adam and Eve substantiated God's love as true parents, Lucifer would have received love from God through them. And it would have been different. This is the key. So, think about this. Adam and Eve were meant to become true parents and love all of creation substantially, the substantial representation of God's heart. And below human beings or outside of human beings, what's the highest form of creation? Angels. Okay, so what's the highest form of angels? Archangels. And what's the highest archangel? So, who was destined to receive, first and foremost, the greatest and fullest expression of God's love in both masculine and feminine form in the entire history of the universe? Who? Lucifer. Lucifer was actually on a path, and Father explained that Lucifer also had his own growth to complete by helping raise up Adam and Eve. And so this is what I was thinking about. I was thinking, okay, let's say Adam and Eve get married at 21, then they're perfect, then they love each other, then they're true parents, and they love all creation, then they love Lucifer, right? Well, let's say they actually got off that track at age 14 or 15 or 16 or 17. How much love would they have had towards Lucifer or creation at that time? What percentage of love? If 100% love at 21, how much love would they have towards creation at 15? 10%? Any takers? We'll go to 10%. Around a red tire, 10%. How many takers? Another 15. Can I have 15? What? 100%? Anyway, I believe that there's nothing that Father ever taught us that somehow is just like, ding, switch. There's always growth. And so I believe that as they were growing themselves spiritually through 3 stages of growth, also their ability to love creation was growing, right? So when you look at your children at 15, 16, or 17 years old, what type of love are you hoping that they have towards parents or towards uncles and aunties? Is it 0%? There's some maturity there. And I feel that when Father said, Adam, by the way, the answer to that question, Father said Adam's responsible for the fall. I didn't point that out. So why Adam is responsible for the fall? Well, what we hear is that, he didn't protect Eve. Correct? Well, he didn't protect Eve from what? From what? From who? Okay, so it makes it feel or sound like that this evil was always destined to be there, and it's Adam's job to protect Eve, his sister, from this evil force. It's easy to kind of think like that, at least, or we could think, he was negligent in his relationship to his sister, right? So we hear stories about he's off there swinging snakes and throwing stones and jumping off mountains and running fast. And I know what it's like to be a teenage boy. Actually, you believe you're invincible. I used to ski parallel down the mountain, why turn? Why slow down? Oh, moguls? That's fun. So when you're a young man, not only do you feel you're invincible, you want others to recognize your invincibility, and especially girls. Meanwhile, girls really aren't usually that interested in that. They're more like, come and notice me, I think. They're more interested in maybe a conversation or being recognized, and it doesn't quite fit. I think Adam and Eve at the point of the fall were probably, in terms of their character, at polar opposites, the sort of the origin, division, union part. That's when they're most extremely different from each other in terms of their sensibilities. So Adam's off there swinging snakes. Did you see that? So anyway, the point is, yes, Lucifer was jealous and Lucifer tempted Eve. We know the story. But I believe that Adam's negligence didn't start with him not protecting Eve from Lucifer's jealousy. I say that the problem occurred before even Lucifer started to feel jealous. And Adam's negligence started in his relationship with Lucifer first, because Uncle Luke was actually the guy, at least partially responsible, for creating all those snakes and stones and awesome things that Adam was off, oh, I'll call this, that, and that's a piano, and that's a tree, and that's whatever he's doing. I think, and we know the stories of, the Abel figure can often fail through an arrogance is somehow there, right? Even when we look at the story between Cain and Abel, we understand there was a certain negligence on Abel's part. To love who? And who did Cain represent? Who did Abel represent? And who did Cain represent? So what was Adam's relationship with Uncle Luke supposed to be? I think you would raise your children to respect Uncle Luke and Aunt Catherine and Uncle Joe and every uncle and auntie, right? Right? So I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking about Eve's relationship with Lucifer. Eve, I don't think she just fell because she was besotten. What would you say? Besotten? What? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm feeling all British. I'm in Boston. I don't think Eve was just amazed at Lucifer's good looks and knowledge. I think there was a maternal instinct growing in her also. You know the movies when you see the young, beautiful woman, she's maybe 17, she's in high school. Meanwhile, the 19-year-old, been kept back 3 years, now high school dropout with the muscle car and the tats and the long hair or whatever is in. And he's like the bad boy. And somehow the girl's interested in him. And you see it so you see it in a lot of movies, right? And she's swept off by this guy, and there's also the true Abel type guy that really loves her, and he can never win her heart because she's, so I believe that she's not just taken by his muscle car, but there's a part of her that feels like she can change him. There's a maternal aspect. When the police knock on the door of the domestic violence case, often the woman, she might be there at the door with ruffled hair and a bleeding nose, and she'll deny that there's any problem. This happens a lot. Because she feels in her heart that, well, if I'm probably the last person alive that has any hope for this man, there's a maternal instinct there that was also abused, actually. So what's the point I'm saying? This is almost a side story. It's not even the main point. But understanding the nature of the relationships and the responsibility in the garden more deeply really helped me to also understand the impact and importance of Eve and the significance of Eve. Because what was the last thing to be created? So what was the most beautiful thing? What was the most precious thing? What was God most longing to unite with? Okay, what was the only and most dangerous warning given to Adam and Eve? What? So, Eve. And what part of Eve was God most warning us about?
Sexual organ.
Wow. So, the most precious thing of the most precious being. And what was the thing that was taken? What was the thing that Lucifer took? So the most precious thing, actually, that even maybe God was waiting to see, what would it be like? Okay? So we lost all of that. And I believe that Lucifer fell because although he understood God's love, he understood God's love more in a masculine sense, a vertical kind of top-down sense. And he wasn't patient enough, and perhaps even Adam and Eve weren't reverent enough to comfort him also. To have at least a growing attitude of what would one day be true parents' love, at least 50% the way there, with some kind of attention, that would be enough to keep this team intact so that they could all together complete their responsibility. And when they did that, Lucifer would have felt a love from Adam and Eve so far greater than he had experienced in all of the eons creating with God. Right? That means all of creation was also going to experience a love that had never been tasted and never been seen before. Right? But what part of that love was really new? Father's love or mother's love? Mother's love. And so what was taken? What was lost? What was the first thing that we lost? The hope and the seed of mother's love. So then starts this long, write it up, erase it again, write it up, erase it again story of human history. And we know all of the human history is always, the central figures always were listening to the male central figure story. Actually, Father gave content about all the female figures throughout human history and their responsibility. I don't know if you've heard those lectures. That's even more fascinating. To understand that before every single man failed, the woman failed first, and vice versa. Before every man succeeded, woman succeeded first. So the role of the woman has been largely misunderstood. Of course, as Christians, we know Jesus, the only begotten Son. Right? We pray, Heavenly Father, our Father. What was it that Mother did on Foundation Day? One of the things that maybe got some people upset. We're going to call Heavenly Father Heavenly Parent now. Or we could say Heavenly Mother, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, Heavenly Parent. And we're so confused now when we pray. It's like, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, dear, in our Lord Jesus' name, in our name, Amen, our Jew, in my name, First Central Family, cover all the bases. But the key point is, Heavenly Parent is our parent. And we know in the divine principle, the harmonious union of these characteristics, right? So, Jesus was the only begotten Son, right? So Father also was the only begotten Son. And Mother is the only begotten daughter. But what's the real breaking news here? What's the real breaking news? Come on, water break. So I'm going to speak, if I speak passionately, please don't take it as any kind of arrogance. It's just me waking up, okay? I don't know where everybody's at in their own internal journey with that. But it's like, oh my God, I wasn't struggling with it, but I didn't connect to it emotionally. Mother's love is the love that the entire universe has been waiting to taste since the very beginning, including God. Mother's love. True mother's love. And that when a man truly receives true mother's love, there can be no fall. It is then impossible for a man to look at any woman with anything other than the eyes of a brother or a father or a husband. Do you understand? Lucifer's tendency to seek out Eve was actually a premature desire to receive mother's love in some sense. There's something that we've been longing for from the beginning of time. Mother's love is the breaking news. Actually, in that sense, that's the breaking news. As amazing and as great as Father is, it's kind of like, that foundation, although Jesus was only able to do 3 years, the foundation of establishing the substantial representation of God's masculine characteristics on the earth happened 2,000 years ago. The real breaking news, and therefore the real work of the Messiah, the biggest job that True Father had, we simplify it by saying to give the blessing and so on, but really the marriage of the Lamb. And we think to raise up, and then we might argue about, original sin and how are they born and this, that, and the other. There's aspects of this that the conversation remains in a dimension that can't perceive the entire truth. So we killed Jesus because he didn't appear how we expected him to be. He didn't walk or talk or preach or do anything how we expected or wanted him to do. And the same mistake happened with Father. by the vast majority. But a few were able to hold on and recognize, Father, thank you. But it's the same with True Mother. True Mother has not only the right, but actually the responsibility to stand up and proclaim certain things. That even if Father said or didn't say, she still must need to say and proclaim. Okay? So it was just recently in Korea, she mentioned that, I'm proclaiming about only begotten daughter. But you should be. Because you're not, I have to. And now even the ACLC ministers get it. So she's almost kind of between the lines. She's saying, come on, guys. So I realized this morning, oh my God, almost every problem we're experiencing right now, if we want to talk or think about problems at all, I usually don't because I'm an optimist. But I'm aware. And you could almost draw every single problem or disunity or issue or struggle straight to this point. That somehow we don't necessarily resonate and get it. We don't necessarily connect to True Mother's love. I'm not making any statement or evaluation. It's like all of our responsibility. I didn't quite get it. So I was having this internal journey and epiphany before any of this, new structural shift and new appointment. So when Mother called up, she restructured America and called up the 5 guys to stand up there. It's proof I didn't know because I was still wearing my Apple Heaven uniform, the kind of shiny sequin Las Vegas waiter's costume with a cowboy shirt underneath, right? I'm standing there thinking, what am I wearing? I'm just standing there thinking, this is a big day. And I look at this picture in 10 years and I'm like, what the hell was I wearing? Everybody else is there in suits and their purple ties, right? I was, so I didn't know that was going to happen. I don't know if Reverend Busing, I don't know if you knew. Sneaky you. I know that Reverend Busing didn't know before his appointment. I don't know how many moments or seconds before, but for me it was seconds. You all knew, or they knew about it as quick as I did. So after that, I was able to quickly put on a tie and go upstairs to True Mother's table. And True Mother sat us down, and there was 10 of us. There was, Reverend Busing, Dr. Kim, Wonju, Incheon Park from Seattle, and Dr. Yoon, and then the 5. It doesn't matter which way you cut it. In America, it just doesn't sound good, whether you call them blockheads or substandards, either way. So, but she sits us down. She's very deliberate. She said, you here, right? And so we're all sitting there. Because I'm subregion 1, I'm first in line at the table. So Mother's right here, and I'm sitting across the table from Dr. Kim, and then everybody else is next to us here on the table. And then everybody has a beautiful glass of water and 3 plates of cookies, and Mother's sitting right here. And my mind is so busy just processing like what is going on that literally I can't even hear what she's saying. That you should be taking notes. I knew that I was still recording from her speech earlier. I had my phone recording in my pocket, so I was able to record everything she said, and Hyunuk was standing right here beside me. So I have this faint, muffled recording of this entire meeting, thank God, because I wasn't able to listen with my mind at literally anything she said, just a few words I caught. My mind was completely occupied, but emotionally I was hypersensitive to the situation. And so I was paying attention emotionally. And so that's my testimony, is an emotional one. She was talking to Incheon for about 80%, right? Reverend Busing, about 80% she was guiding him. And then I was just feeling her energy. She has trouble with her eyes, maybe right? She has a little bit, that's why sometimes she's wearing sunglasses, because the bright lights are painful for her eyes, right? And so when you look at her, sometimes she's looking down, looking to the side, and at a distance you might think that, well, it's because her eyes are painful or something like that. But when you're sitting right next to her, I realize, no, this isn't a physical thing. She's not like gazing off or spacing out or something like that. She has this incredible penetrating look. You're not able to kind of lock eyes for like seconds and minutes on end and like casually there's so much force emanating from True Mother. And so I'm sitting there feeling this energy from True Mother, feeling her love. I'm looking at her skin and I feel every pore of her skin is just beaming with light. And at a certain point, she says, go ahead and, eat. Because everybody's just kind of, we're all in these Asian posture, right? I'm like, even John Jackson's like, right? We're all like, tick, tick, tick. And then, the glass and the plate and everything's pristine. And you don't want to knock anything down. I'm worried about John Jackson knocking down the glass. And then Mother says, please eat, and I notice everybody's plate is still empty, including hers. We just have these 3 trays of nice cookies. I'm not hungry at all. Like, honestly, I haven't really eaten much since in the last 2-3 weeks because it's just so intense. So I'm looking at these cookies and I'm thinking, I have to eat the cookie because, it's impolite. But I'm noticing Mother's plate is empty, so my first instinct is just to pick up the plate and then, she's right here. So it's like, I'm not, cookie. No, I'm like, take the plate and I give it to Mother, Mother. And then there's this awkward moment, this cute awkward moment where she kind of laughs at me. She's like, I've got the recording. She basically says, that's not for me, that's for you. Of course, she has a special diet. They're preparing some special fruits for her or something like that. But it was just this like mother-son moment, this innocent moment where, and I do it again, quite honestly, even though I knew, I guess I was breaking protocol. No, you don't do that. Whatever. But naturally, I just wanted to share cookies with Mama. It's polite, right? But this just incredible look in her face was just so heartwarming. And I just felt like this connection. The first second I looked eye contact, and I can testify what's in those eyes. Like, you hear somebody say, oh, your eyes are like the pool, the well, the water so deep. Okay, no, True Mother's eyes was like not just 1 or 100 wells. It was like 1,000 wells deep. Deep. And in those eyes was infinite love. Razor sharp clarity. And infinite love. This is my testimony about, True Mother's love. And in that second, I realized this is the biggest burden of anyone that can experience that love, is now, how do I explain that? How can you convey that that's what God's love is there? We all have access to that love. We all have access to True Parents' love, right? But often if we hear a report, it's like, well, we did this, we went there, we did that, we bowed there, we sang this song, we did that, we did this. But, it's like, what is the emotional experience? I couldn't pay attention to anything going on like at that level. So I was only hyper alert and attentive at that emotional level. And that's what I felt. So much love from True Mother. And the same thing we felt when we were in Korea. We were invited to her breakfast table in Korea. It was just a few of us. Twice I was able to go. And the first time she gave us very clear direction. She told all the leaders, you must, really, you have to liberate your ancestors. You have to do your tribal messiahship first. Those are 2 directions. And it's kind of like the roots and the fruits, it's like you connect to your ancestors. And I have personal experience with this, so I really value it. Your ancestors are like the roots, and the harvest is like the fruits. And so it's connected. And I felt so much love from True Mother, even giving us that simple and clear direction. She didn't say, okay, now you got to go there, you got to structure this, you got to organize that, you got to reorganize this, you got to do this, appoint that, do this. No, it's nothing like that, nothing external. Just you have to really, please, trust me, unite with me completely, have no fear, go forward. John the Baptist will come to you. Just unite with me, do this, and see what happens. So that's the same for all of us, of course, right? And this last time we were in Korea, she was just laughing. Like half the meeting, I just saw her laughing, sometimes laughing at us. Like, you know, we came, there's like, I don't know, 20 people in the room and 5 Americans. And the entire main table was full of Japanese and Korean, and Mother's there. And then Mother comes in, sorry. And then she stands and she's like, okay, no, we're going to rearrange everything. And she organizes the main table, because there was some side tables where we were originally sitting. She organized the main table so that all of the new block leaders from each of the 3 nations would sit together in trinities. So Korea, Japan, America, block 1, Korea, Japan, America, block 2, all the way around the table. And at a certain point, you know, she asked us each to share. We all shared with True Mother. I think you saw some of it in the weekly update. If not, you will. But, you know, at a certain point, she's looking at us, and we're all, again, sort of assuming the Asian posture. And she's looking at us. We're eating quite beautiful, delicious food, beautiful silverware made in Italy. And then, but at a certain point, she looks at us and she says, why are you guys so stiff? Why aren't you talking to her? Do you know why I put you together? So that you would talk with each other. You know, I was thinking, you can't talk don't speak until spoken to. You know, I was raised in England. So she was the one saying, guys, you know, break protocol here. What do you know, why are you being so stiff? Get to know. Do you know each other's wives' name? Do you guys know, pray for each other. You learn to know each other, right? So, and then the Japanese brother next to me is like, you know, and I'm like, no, I didn't do that. But we exchanged names, and then I'm asking for their children's names and stuff like that. But anyway, all I wanted to share about that point is, you know, God, this is the greatest breaking thing that exists. This, like, True Mother this week, I think, right? She's going to Africa, right? She's going to Senegal. We go to pray for True Mother. She's going to Senegal. Maybe I'll share more about that later. But she's traveling around the world, loving, proclaiming what? She's actually proclaiming the greatest breaking news that has ever existed. It was going to be the breaking news even before the fall, guys. This is like no relationship to the fallen one. Is it like that, or is it like this, or is she born that, or is it what? Or what about this, or what about that? Well, okay, fine. If we have to have that dialogue, have that dialogue. She's kind of saying, well, while you're having that dialogue, I'm out there, you know, just not being afraid. So she said again, don't be afraid. So like this, you know, you want to proclaim true parents, proclaim True Mother, proclaim God, proclaim, share the divine principle, and don't be afraid. It's the greatest thing. And even I'm, you know, the director of evangelism, I've been afraid, you know. Sometimes I'm afraid. I turned that all around one day. I said, enough of like being shy about it in the most awkward situations. I'm in the Uber. I'm driving an Uber. I'm asking the Uber driver, where are you from? I was like, oh, I'm from Brazil. Oh, Brazil, you probably know True Parents, right? He's like, what? He's driving. He's looking a little bit nervous in the rearview mirror. I'm like, yeah, you probably know about True Parents down there. You're from Brazil. I mean, they're famous down there. You know that. Like, True Parents? Come on. Reverend and Mrs. Moon? He's like, oh, he's starting to like little beads of sweat. He's like, he's on the spot, not me. And I'm like sitting casually back, you know, half playing with my phone nonchalantly. Come on, don't tell me you haven't heard of the divine principle. Are you telling me you haven't heard of the divine principle? Where have you been? Like literally, I'm saying like that to him. You're from Brazil. Wait, you said you're from Brazil. Maybe I didn't miss it. You're from Brazil. Yeah, I'm from Brazil. So, what are you talking about? You haven't met True Parents and you haven't read the divine. All right, give me your number. Okay, give me your number. You know, at the end, he's like, you know what? Yeah, I think I do know. I don't even know if he was telling the truth. He just felt so on the spot, like, you know, yeah. The burden of proof is on them, brothers and sisters, not on us. You don't have to prove anything. You are the proof. How you want to know if God's working or not? Because you are in the room. If you're there, God is working. Question is, are you? Am I? Let us go forth, not be afraid. Let us like get on this wave. If you want to argue about it, fine. Set up an argument committee. I probably won't join, right? But let's like love everyone and let's move with where the movement is happening. Okay? We love everybody, embrace everybody, but we have to focus and move where the movement is happening. Mother's asking us to unite completely, one in heart first. We don't have to worry about the logistics and the legalities of everything first. Okay? In heart first, especially second gen. Worry about only that first. Right? Pray about that first. And understand that you're living in the most incredible time in human history. Yes, because we have true parents, and yes, because we still have true parents on the earth, but even more so because for the first time in the history of the universe, we have mother's love, true mother's love, and wow, does it taste good. And it cleans up everything. Okay? Thank you, brothers and sisters. Please join me in prayer, okay? Dear Heavenly Parent, we thank you for these brothers and sisters here today representing the Boston community, Worcester community, the New England community, the American community. Heavenly Parent, representing your family. We're so grateful to all of the brothers and sisters who listened to you and who followed and supported true parents. I'm personally grateful to all of them, even those who are, we may think of resting members, or even those who left, or even those who maybe left and now persecute us. I love all of them. I'm grateful to all of our brothers and sisters who were able to give 1 inch to the providence, anything they were able to give to support true parents. When they came, and when Christianity was too afraid at first to really unite with them. But now we see a new time coming, Heavenly Parent. We will be living in a nation that actually attends true parents. That time is coming. That time has to come before True Mother transitions into the spiritual world. True Mother is not asking us anymore to believe in God or to believe in true parents, but to attend you, Heavenly Parent, to attend true parents. And there's nothing more filial, there's nothing more joyful than actually attending our parents. That's the meaning of Hyojam. Heavenly Parent, that is where our joy as children is. Just like the joy in a child's heart running up to mom and dad with a crayon drawing of a house and a tree saying, Mom, Dad, look at this, look at what I did for you. The child is longing to see the glint of love in their parent's eye and the glint of pride and love in their parent's heart to them. But that's who true parents are to us, Heavenly Parent. Our fruits, honestly, are really no greater than a poor child's drawing. The heart is what Mother is looking for. Let us not get so concerned about whether it's 120, 185, 430, for this, that, the other, or block 1 or block 3, all this. All these distinctions and these numbers are only temporary means to get us or to measure where we're really going. But what Mother is looking for first, I can see and testify, is our heart. Our heart. Because Mother's biggest concern is, do we understand, can we catch the pulse of your love and your heart, Heavenly Parent? If we can hold on to that, then we understand ourselves to be not only blessed central families, but tribal messiahs, whereby perhaps even our touch on the sleeve of a neighbor sitting next to us on the train can even signify as having received the blessing. Maybe that's the world we're going to in the future. Maybe the world we're going to in the future, we're not going to be counting so much whether it's first, second, third, or 3.5 gen, this, that, or the other. But a world in which we are all brothers and sisters as truly one family under God. Not in name, but in resonance, in a feeling of brothers and sisters as one family with true parents' love. And finally, the brothers get to stop fighting because Mother's love is here. Let us as true children and as true parents' children recognize that now, and each day just get better to substantiate that together as one team. Heavenly Parent, we're so grateful to be able to be here today, representing America, representing the Sub-District 1, but most of all representing you and true parents. We know that each day we will grow our heart more deeply. So please continue to guide us to recognize true parents' love today and attend it in heart. And let us not be late to that table, Heavenly Parent. Let us really check ourselves now. True parents aren't asking us to be the same as 2017. We've restructured the American movement like never before. This is a time when each of us get a new start. And we are a team. And we will work together as one team to bring the fruit to the banquet table. Together, Heavenly Parent, we will all be equals at that table, and we'll all be experiencing the true love that you've been longing to experience together with us since the beginning of time. We thank you, and we offer you this prayer and report in all of our names, and in my name, Demian and Yumiko Dunkley, as a blessed central family, thanks to true parents, adieu.